All right, so Florida State week, is it a different feel? We was at practice the other day. They was playing the Florida State fight song and everything. Is it a different feel like going to the Florida State week?
Oh, I mean, 100%. You know, like this. Oh, it's just a game. Nah, this game always felt different. You know, you really honed in. You really focused. You doubled down on your film study. It was really all about Florida State that week. So, you know, I imagine that hasn't changed down there at all. So. You know, you do what you got to do to win that football game. It's that important.
I was talking to Philip Buchanan. I think you're in Hall of Fame.
It's my guy Phil.
Phil,
yeah,
good dude. And he was telling me, he was saying in 1999 they could have done more in 1999. We already know what happened in 2000. They came back and they won everything. But 99 they could have done more of Najee Davenport when they got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But he said in 2000 when they were about to face Florida State, they was at practice in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he knew they were going to beat Florida State. He said he could feel it.
Yeah.
He said he could feel it. He said Travis Minor had came out and said, well, it's not a rivalry if we keep winning. I think they had won 5 times in a row.
Man, that's on the list of things you really just can't be saying that week. You know, you're not trying to fire us up like that.
Yeah, he came out and said that I want to call it Travis Minor, the fake work done. Travis Minor came out and said that it's not a rivalry. But he said he knew he could feel the focus on the team. He could feel that they were going to go in there and beat Florida State.
Wait, did Phil call Travis Minor the fake Ward?
No, I beat.
I'm about to say,
I always felt like that because I always felt like he
Ward done light.
He always came after the Ward Duns and those backs that they had, Rock
Okay.
Preston. But he said he could feel it. He said it was something that he knew was going to happen, and they went in there and jumped on him right off the back, and ended up winning that game at Florida State. So yeah, that's my Florida State story.
Yeah, and I could understand that feeling. I felt like that my senior year, 94. Yeah. I don't remember them popping off too much, but I do remember them being favorites in our stadium, in the Orange Bowl. They coming down here as favorites, and you just knew that wasn't going to end well. You know, you felt it during the week that we're going to win this game, and it was a matter of how much we're going to win.
Who did they have? Who did they have?
They had Work Done.
Yeah,
You know, he was probably the leader of that defense. The quarterback was Danny Cannell. Shout out to Danny Cannell. He threw everyone on our side of the ball. The ball that night. You know, I think he threw like 4 or 5 picks that night.
Did he?
Yeah, he was handing it out like Halloween candy. So, but they had that fast break offense. They were scoring 70 and 77 every week. So, you know, maybe that's why they felt like they could make them favorites, and they were feeling really good about themselves. But you know, we jumped on them quick and
put them out.
Beat down.
I got a confession, dog. I was always a Warwick Dunn fan. I love watching Warwick Dunn run the ball.
You know what? Listen, I'm a Miami Hurricane. I think any one of us that played against him would say we had a tremendous amount of respect for him, the way that he played the game. And then he's an awesome dude off the field, so it's hard to, you know, say, oh, he had antics. You know, he was always respectful in that regard. But, man, you know,
I just like watch the art of him running the ball for some reason. I never was a Florida State fan. I just...
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. And you can really root for him when they were playing the Gators. Like, yeah, go ahead and cut that up, you know. But no, I agree with you. Just he had a real smooth run too. It looked like he was going too fast, but trust me, he was moving out there. So, and if you want to get your coverage skills to the tip top, you want to be elite, come see me at All Eyes DB Camp. Footwork, hands, coverage skills, press man, everything that you need to know to be the best.
Yeah. He got Xavier Howard paid.
Oh, yeah. Get that money.
Welcome to South Florida. Yeah. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida. Welcome to South Florida, the bottom of the clip of the Gunshine State. What them boys still boring in that way. Big play, get it for the 18 if you straight. Get K and stop hating, it's the motto of the state. A lot of face, but it's still real around here. That foreign talk, that can get.
Hey, you know what it is? It's Florida State Miami week. Happy to be here on Canesville with the Crib Talk.
All right, man, we back. Canesville Crib Talk. My man Chad Wilson in the house, Florida State week. Chad, you gotta have a Florida State story for it. We're gonna get into that, man. But listen, y'all going to become a member. The link is in the description down there. Shout out to the members. You got to go to the community section to be a part of the group meet. That's where all the information at and everything. Let's get right into the thing, man. Florida State week, man. You got a Florida State story for us, bro?
My very first Florida State Miami game, the opening kickoff. Kicked the ball to Tamarick Vanover, running down there on the kickoff team. He catches it, cuts across, coming right at me. I think I got Kevin Williams on the inside of me. So I step out to cut it off. I could have been more aggressive, to be honest. If I'm being honest about it, 20 whatever years later, I could have been more aggressive and went right at him. But I cut him off to make him turn back inside. He cuts back inside. I dive for his legs. They had clipped Kevin Williams, but no call. Tamarick Vanover break outside.
The speedster Kevin Williams?
Yeah. First of all, let me tell you something. Kevin Williams was supposed to be the safety. Like, he's supposed to wait back there. He don't live like that. He coming in here to crack some damn body. On his way to cracking some damn body, he got cracked in the back, so he down on the ground. I dive at his legs. Didn't stop him. I'm on my face, and he's running down the field. 90-something yard touchdown. And they started going crazy, and I'm laying on the grass. First Florida State. Now, I came from Long Beach State, so I already heard all the BS about this ain't Long Beach State, da 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 da. And sure enough, first time in the big lights, that man hit it, and I'm watching him run down the sidelines, and then the last chance was the kicker. Dane Pruitt came running over there and tried to throw a kick at him. He tried to do like a soccer tackle. Touchdown. They going nuts, and I'm like,
this is surreal.
Man, I'm jogging off the field. Mark Caesar, who's a defensive tackle at that time, met me out on the numbers, punched me in the chest, pulled my face mask. See, that was the thing about us back then. The consequences were your teammates. So, like, he went off on me. I wasn't even worried about that phone ringing when I got to the sideline. You couldn't say nothing to me. That Mark didn't just spit into my helmet. So, that was my first experience.
Your teammate punched you, caught you.
Man, they, like...
Y'all held each other accountable.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. If you wasn't running during our conditioning, if you was trying to skip out on power cleans or whatever in the weight room, like, they on your head. Like, this thing was built a certain kind of way, and you just gonna uphold the standards. Or, you know what, man, you can get the hell on. You don't belong here, So that's my Florida State story. It ended well. Wide right, too. We won the game. Thank God. And in my senior year, we mashed the hell out of them. I was a full-time starter. I got the message that Mark tried to give me.
Bro, listen, when that happened, I thought they were showing a replay from last year. Because it was like they kicked the ball off, and it was like, it happened so fast. I was like, this can't be this year, right?
Man, back then, Florida State was good for getting a lead early, running a trick play that works early, and then having it all fall apart. So they'll run like a reverse on the first play or a double flea flicker for a touchdown or a kickoff return,
right.
And they be going crazy, and then it's a 60-minute game. Guess who ended up winning at the end? So that's kind of how the games went back then.
Yeah, man, I remember that vividly. I thought it happened so fast. I thought it was like they was showing a repeat from last year or something. It was like 7-zip.
Man.
He was a sophomore, freshman. He was young himself, Tamarick Vanover.
Yes, he was young, he was fast, he was strong, and he was gone. Touchdown.
How did he do in the league? He didn't do.
He tried to move some weight in the league, and it didn't work out for him.
Oh, did he?
He got into some legal entanglements, if I could use that word. So didn't work out for him. Super talented though.
He was
majorly talented.
Yeah, what's the name almost killed him though, didn't he? Who almost killed him?
Mike Barrow.
Same game?
Same. Man, that game was something else. That game had it all. Dudes on the sidelines getting IVs because it was a high noon kickoff in South Florida. Marvin Jones whacked the hell out of Larry Jones.
Yeah.
Couple series later, Mike smashed the hell out of Tamarick Vanover, and the crowd went crazy. Like, you remember them Orange Bowl crowds when you got hit?
Yeah.
That was the sound right there. It was. Yeah, man. It was that ooh sound.
That was the second wide right you said?
Yeah, wide right too.
Yeah. Who was the quarterback?
For them or for us?
For them.
For them was Charlie Ward.
And we had Gino.
We had the Heisman Trophy winner.
Charlie Ward.
Yeah.
We all wanted to be Charlie Ward. I remember seeing Charlie Ward at the Under Armour game, and under the radar, we walking, me and my man Ali from Under the Radar. He said, "Man, you know who that is?" It's like, no. He said, "That's Charlie Ward." Bro, listen. I went right back to the 6th grade.
Man.
And went and took a picture with him. I never do that. I'm never starstruck. But it took me back to my childhood. It was like, man, I'm gonna get a picture with Charlie Ward. Screw this. I remember all us going like this. Gotta lift our
Man,
foot.
Charlie was the original pain in the behind, college quarterback. Because he could throw, run off with it. I remember the next year we went up there to Tallahassee and we lost to them. And we had a play where he dropped back and a rush went by him. I forget who it was. And on the way by, they pulled his face mask. Charlie got up, fixed his face mask in the pocket, fired a strike. I was like, man, I don't know about today. This is not looking good. When it's going down like that, I don't like our chances today.
No, he was smooth.
He was.
He was smooth, and to go play in the NBA for how long? That shows you how much of a athlete, superb athlete he was.
Yeah, people forget that part. That he put in a lot of years with the Knicks.
Right.
Good Knicks team too. It's not like he was on the bottom feeder. These were good New York Knicks teams that he played for.
Right. Right, so listen, the Hurricanes, man, not doing too well. Florida State doing worse, though. So, listen, man, line that shit up. I mean,
whole state is in shambles.
The whole state is in shambles. Florida, we thought Florida was on its way up a year ago. Me and you having these conversations about Florida.
Falling back.
Yeah, they. So the Miami Hurricanes, man, you're a big defensive guy. What do you see what's going on with the Miami Hurricanes? And just the defense.
I mean, obviously the tackling has been front and center,
right.
And I don't have the answers as to why that's happening. You'd actually really have to be at practice to say that. You can't say the players are scared. You don't grow up playing football down here in South Florida and get to that level being scared. You've been around youth football. You know what they do with a kid if he's scared to tackle. So it's not that. So I don't have an answer on that. I know right now our linebacker play, and I'm definitely not going to single any players out. If you've watched the game and you pay attention at all, you could see that that's not happening. I don't know if it's players, if it's coaching, or whatever the case may be. I'm just seeing too much of the wrong gap being filled. Not approaching the ball the right way, getting caught up in the wash, getting cut off and giving up the edge. It's just too much of that going on. And eventually, when you have that problem with that middle unit, it's going to affect the back half because safety's got to come down and make tackles, and it gets hard to keep waiting back there and having a running back coming at you full speed. Whether it's a big dude that want to drop a shoulder on you, or it's you giving too much space to a little jittery guy and you getting juked out your shoes. You start coming down more and more, and now you start getting balls thrown over your head. So, one thing leads to another, and it's just a whole chain reaction.
All this is happening. Everything he just explained.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the games at all, you're seeing that's what's happening. Thank God the offense is on point, that we can win shootouts, and it look like we're playing Big 12 football in the ACC right now. Not the kind of Canes football I would like to see, man, but we're winning games, so I'm not going to complain.
Went to practice yesterday. James Williams in the red jersey, Tyreek Stevens in the red jersey, and it kind of goes to Bubba Bolden going, say his shoulder hurt. It kind of goes to what you're saying. I mean, they're making a lot of tackles. Bubba Bolden led us in tackles last year.
Yeah, that's never good when the safeties, leading you in tackles. That shouldn't be the case.
So you can't single out the kids. That's what's ever being taught. Something is almost like the linebacker.
I wouldn't always say that. You have what you have sometimes, and you could teach a kid, and they just not getting it. You know what I mean? And it'd be easy to say, well, just get another guy in there. Well, these coaches are at practice, so the other guy might be worse at doing this job than the guy that's in there. So I'm not going to compound the problem by just throwing a kid in there just because people say let's put the kid in there. So I don't know what the problem is. You're at practice. I'm not at practice. I'm not even if you're at practice, you're not an actual coach.
The linebackers from us there. They never let us see the linebackers in the offensive line. They're so far.
Well, that makes sense because they're the most embattled.
They're so far, dog.
It's like you don't need the coach. On top of everything else, you don't need the fans and media and everyone else on top of that head because that's not going to help the situation.
Right.
I think you just got to try and manage it as best you can. Try to coach them up, show them the film, try and correct things as much as possible, and get through it. And hopefully, you know, you can get it corrected in the off season. Maybe you get to a bowl and you got
right.
3 weeks, a month. You can get some things fixed and you can play well in the bowl game. But right now, it's definitely an issue.
So that would explain the middle of the defense, like the slants and the quarterback escaping through the middle. It just
defending those RPOs are already tough.
Right.
But when you're not getting the contributions that you need from the linebackers, it just makes it that much more difficult. You putting the guys behind you in a serious pickle.
Well, the reason I say it's coaching is because there's not one guy. We can't say put Sam Brooks in. He's been playing well. It's across the board. It seems as if, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's taking orders, and they're doing what. And it's not one guy. You can say, like, we were all yelling for Huff. Now it's just like we just yelling for names. Now it's just like whoever we seen. What came?
I mean, I feel you. I've been in coaching situations where you just didn't have the guys that can get the job done. And you're just trying to do the best that you can. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I've seen both ways. Like players just not being coached. Bad coaching, we've all seen that. And then I've also been in situations where you just trying your best to get the job done with guys who might not necessarily be able to get the job done. I don't know which one of those things we are. We can at least agree, though, that it ain't happening right at that position. Right?
It's not. What else do you think is going on with the defense? Anything else?
That's probably the biggest thing is tackling and then, you know, just not getting in the right gaps. And, you know, that leads to the big plays. And when, you know, an offense can get those chunk plays on you, it's hurtful because you do something on offense. You drive down there and then you give up a big 60, 70-yard run and they're right back on there. So you got pressure every time you get out there as an offense. So that's really the biggest thing.
Right.
So
right. Because you coached. And sometimes I see, like, even when I talk to Coach Hayes sometimes, like, coaches kind of empathize with other coaches.
Oh, of course. You know the pain.
Right.
You know the time you put in.
Right.
You know some of the frustrations, of course.
How do you feel about Manny Diaz?
I feel like this. We got a fan base that's all on this man's head. I do know this about Manny. He's passionate about being the coach at the University of Miami. Right. So for that, he should be given some respect and some consideration for that. He's not been in the job long enough to say whether he's a good coach or a bad coach. Guys, you really need time. I know this generation doesn't believe in that. I know we got social media and we in this microwave society, so, you know, they feel like we need to the minute a guy doesn't win, let's rotate him out of there. I think a coach needs 5 years. I've been on that for a while, and that's backed by research that I've done. I'm not just pulling a number out of my head. You know, you can be fooled by the early years, both ways. I mean, what did Larry Coker do year 1 and 2? We were in the show, right?
Orgeron, LSU.
Right.
Yeah, we thought.
So if you took that and ran with it and gave him a lifetime contract, like, how would you be sitting right now?
Right.
On the flip side, you'll see a guy have to overcome things once he comes in, and we're not that great.
Right.
First few years, and then, you know, takes a while. Might even lead up to year 4. You might build up to year 3. Year 4 is really bad because certain guys moved out of the program, and then year 5, these are all my guys. This is my coaching staff. This is my coach. It's my message. Whatever that guy is in year 5, that's what he is.
Right.
If he's 9-3, well, that's probably what he's gonna hang around for whatever amount of time after that.
Yeah.
If he's 5-7, he's probably that.
5 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, you got to decide as a program, am I okay with what he is right there in year 5? Because I think Coker was 7-5 in year 5.
Something like that, right? Hey.
He went over to UTSA. That's about what he was. 6-6, 5-7, 7-5 at that school.
Right.
That's kind of what you are at year 5. But if you start making decisions at year 3, and my biggest thing with the fan base is this: we keep firing guys. And to be honest, I feel like, yeah, technically Mark Richt wasn't fired, but we forced him out of there.
Right.
You keep doing that, other coaches are looking at that like, do I really want that job? I mean, am I going to be given enough time to fix whatever the problems are there?
Right.
Because there are what they appear to be on the outside, what they tell you they are when you go in the interview, and then when you get in there, you find out. Like, you buy a house, oh, it looks nice, I did my inspection, whatever, and you like crack open the wall, man, and there's mad termites in there. It's like, oh, this gonna cost me some more money. So once you get into the program, you find out everything that you need to fix. Now, Manny's been here, so, you know, he doesn't really I don't really have that excuse for him.
We're going to get into that.
He's a brand new coach. You made the decision in his university to hire a guy as a first-time head coach. I'm sorry, he's going to have to learn on the job. He may actually be a really good coach. I'm just saying we need some time to find out. Year 3 ain't it.
You don't think year 3 is enough?
No, it is not.
Manny's been here how long, X? How long has Manny been in the program?
6 years.
6 years.
But there's a difference between being a coordinator or assistant and being a head coach.
Talk to me. What's the difference?
There's an absolute difference. The responsibility, the things that you have to take on. As a coordinator, you're responsible for your position coaches and your players. Once you become the head coach, it's boosters, it's handling the media, it's managing both sides, an entire coaching staff. It's you probably going to get that 3 a.m. phone call. You've got to see after a player's, an entire 85-man roster's well-being.
Right.
Whether that's, their education, attending class, their well-being, their mental health, because that's a really big thing now, and everything else that goes into that. Your attention is divided so many more ways once you're the head coach that you figure out.
So why do they still choose to say, okay, but I'm gonna call the plays? So okay, I'm gonna be the defensive coordinator and the head.
I've never really been in favor of that at any level. I don't like to see NFL coaches do it. I don't like to see college coaches do it. Some have been successful. I just think by and large, you miss things as a head coach if you are constantly involved in the game plan. When you're at practice, you're trying to make sure the plays are executed, and there's something else going on the other side of the field, whether that's the offensive, and you're just not seeing it happen. And that's a good way for things to fester and turn into a problem without you seeing it until it actually blows up. And then once it blows up, it's tougher to fix. Yeah. If you're the head coach and you're walking around from field to field and you notice some tension between a player and a coach, or a coach and another coach, you'll see that walking around. You can get on that earlier, sooner. You can get that fixed before it really boils over. Whether that's you two guys getting them to hash it out, or maybe you need to remove a guy. I just think a lot of things get missed when you're
on one side of the ball.
When you're on one side of the ball, because that game plan, watching the film and getting ready, it requires a tremendous amount of time. Yeah, for sure.
So 5 years. How much time Willie Taggart had? 2?
Half a year.
Year and a half.
Year and a half. Randy Shannon had what?
3, almost 4.
Randy Shannon almost got to 4.
Yeah, they let him go before the end of the.
After the South Florida game.
Yeah.
Al Golden got what? 5.
Well, 4.75. They let him go before the end of the year. But
listen, let's talk about this now. Al Golden seemed to be the one that left the most. Like he left Mark Richt. Those players, what he had, like he was developing players. Like, could that have been because he had the most time?
Well, no, because Randy left Al a bunch of talent.
Randy?
He left Al. He left him. Remember the 08 class?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you get good high school kids, right? Then do you make them into men? I think Al Golden left Mark Richt some men. You know what I'm saying? Like they went that defense, and I think, but he had more time. He
did.
He had more time.
He did. And
Al Golden was a character. He was a character coach. Like he recruited high character players.
Right.
That's why they became men a lot faster than when Randy Shannon recruited. Randy Shannon recruited those kids. So.
You got two kids in the league. They went to American Heritage, which we say down here, one of our better.
One went to U School, one went to Heritage.
Yeah. One went to U School, one went to Heritage. Right.
Shout out to U School. They got Mike White in the Hall of Fame with his jersey and everything. I just want to throw that out there.
One went to U School, one went to Heritage. When they got to Florida, and they left Florida. Different players? Were they different players? Did you see the development? Like, did they turn into?
Oh yeah. As players, I saw the development for sure. Quincy went through a time there where the defensive coaching staff was outstanding.
Okay.
You had Will Muschamp that was there. No one could recruit and coach defense like him and T-Rob and DJ Durkin. These are all guys still, working in college football right now. So you can definitely see the development there on that side.
Right.
And then with Marco, he was there early with Randy Shannon, who I think is still underrated. I don't know how fans feel about Randy Shannon, but he is a tremendous defensive coach. he can take what might seem complicated and break it down in the simplest form and allow a player to move and work at their best. He's really, really good at that. So,
explain that. I ain't gonna explain that, because that's an art that never gets credit.
Right, and it's not sexy. It's not
Right.
It's not something people will really talk about. The general fan watching it won't know anything about that. But his biggest strength is, we'll tend to complicate the game of football.
Yeah.
But it really is a simple game. It's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, and you got to defend this certain amount.
Right.
People align certain ways to go achieve certain things, and he's really good at taking what might seem complicated on a page, or when a person's talking, and make it really simple for the player. So now the player can go out there and move at full speed. Because, when something's complicated and you're not sure where you're supposed to be, you will turn a 4-3 guy into a 4-7 guy. Because he's out there thinking. And he's not sure, should he be running to the flat, or should he be running deep, or should I run through this hole, or should I be running this route?
Right.
He's really good at simplifying the game of football that gets complicated by a lot of coaches. So that was really good for Marco to have that his freshman year there, and he really, really built on that. He had a really great freshman year. Mm-hmm. Then the injury coming back, and didn't have the greatest of staff there, but he grew up on his own.
Yeah.
Marco's very, very independent, so I definitely saw the growth as a player.
So you say he grew up on his own. You think he got better off the field on his? Sometimes college kids have to. Sometimes they may have to do it on their own, right? But he just happen to have you as a dad. You training. You training NFL players already.
Sure. And I always work with them in the off season. That's always been the case.
Mm-hmm.
He did go through the injury, and so that helps you grow up too. He had an injury in high school. He tore his ACL in high school, and that really helped him because he was a wild child before.
What you mean he was a wild child?
He just just to give you an example, when Quincy was graduating from 8th grade to 9th grade at university school, we go to the ceremony. It's me, my wife, my wife's mom, my mom. We all in there watching. At some point, we realized, man, where's Marco? He ain't here. At the end of the ceremony, we see him outside the place. We're like, man, where the hell are you at? Ready to. He shows us a video of him on the roof at the elementary school doing flips.
What?
That's how he lived life. So, he was just really super wild and, immature in some ways. But the injury happened, and it calmed him down. It made him focus a little bit more. He started really thinking about what he wanted in his future.
Right.
And then it happened again in college, and there was still a little more room for growth. Mm-hmm. Not as much as in high school, but it helped him on that end too, because you pull back and you get a perspective on things, and so there was some more growth there. And then what he also dealt with is, how can I say this diplomatically?
What?
Where coaching is not exactly what you expected it to be, but still having to deal with that, because this is something that could definitely happen to you at any point in your playing career. Uh-huh. You're not always going to have the greatest of coaching or things the way you think they should be. You might not see eye to eye with the coaching that's happening. Uh-huh. You still have to function at a high level.
You're saying personal level, or you're saying actually on the field, coach? What we're doing not working.
On the field.
Okay.
What's being done is not really, really working, and you have to find a way to operate at a high level.
Talk to them, because there's plenty of kids out there dealing with that. So how do you? Because you make it to college and you're looking up to your coach like you think he's the know-all, see-all.
Yeah.
So you saying Marco was smart enough to, or maybe you and Marco as a family, y'all was smart enough to recognize that, hey, this ain't the level we thought.
And you still got to operate. You still, and my kids I've made it a point for them to be around good coaching.
Uh-huh.
Now I coached Quincy throughout his career. And I coached Marco for a good amount of his. There was a period of time where I didn't. I wasn't coaching him. Someone else was coaching him, and then we picked it back up in high school. So I've always made it a point for them to be around good coaching, because I felt like that's what helped me in my career. I started off playing at Pasadena Lakes, and we had good coaching.
Yeah.
If you could take a team that looked like ours
He say look like.
Look like. Now, we talking about a bunch of white kids.
Right,
and
there
like
goes. There you go.
I'm going to put it out there. And about 5 or 6 black kids. And go into Scott Lake and win a game to the point where they, want to chase you to the car or whatever. Or go to the Delray and win.
Right.
Or going to Pompano and win. We just really outcoached.
Who are your coaches?
Oh, man, these were
Older guys.
not guys you would know,
Right.
but, shoot. The guy was a fire chief. For the city of Miami, but they were very structured.
Yeah.
We ran a wishbone back
See,
then.
you're talking about those Pasadena teams that we would hear about in Dade County. And
Yeah.
we would hear the name. I used to be like, man, that is the coolest name ever. I didn't know who y'all
Yeah.
was. I used to be like, dog, but that is the coolest football name ever.
Yeah.
And I remember that. Y'all came over and beat Scott Lake.
Yeah, you show up. I can only imagine on the other side, we show up pregame, you like, man, we gonna slap the hell out of these boys.
Right.
And we get in there and start running that wishbone and running a dive and belly and cross blocking and pitching and then we had Ryan Collins too. He was probably one of the only kids at that age that could really toss the ball around.
Yeah.
So play action or rolling out or dropping back and just dropping a bomb on you. So, we're running really damn good plays out there.
Hey, listen up, man. If you put your money in Deuce Coin and it went down, and you put your money in Sheba and it went down, it's because you don't know what you're doing. Investor die, man. IOD Squad. Come watch what we're doing, and it'll help you do whatever you're trying to do. Just swipe up or click the link, whatever it is, man. Investor die. We make it look easy. Let's talk to the kids for a minute, though. But so how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the fact that stuff about what Tracy Howard kind of talked about, right? Like County kind of talked about.
Man,
backpedaling.
he's such a great example, man, because Tracy was always a guy who had a high IQ for the game of football. You saw that in high school. He's a guy that studied it. He's a guy who knew. Then he goes to Miami, and really that was one of the big turnoffs. Because, we all know Quincy didn't get offered by Al Goldstein.
Right.
But even if he had there'd been a serious reluctance to go there because just on that side of the ball, just didn't feel like it was the best of coaching. Right. What was being done was not working.
Right.
What they wanted to do probably worked at Temple, probably worked in the Northeast. It just wasn't working here.
Right.
And Tracy found himself in the middle of that, playing a style that just wasn't suited for his skills and maybe the skills of the rest of the guys back there. And he had to survive in that. Maybe Tracy will even admit that he didn't do the greatest of job in handling that. I don't know. I don't remember his interview, but I think in hindsight, Tracy would say I probably could have handled some of those situations better.
I think he did say that. I think he said even off the field when he said he got mad when he would voice his opinion.
Yeah. It's tough to bite your tongue, man. For as smart as Tracy is about the game, and you actually sitting in a meeting and listening to some of that stuff. I mean, I went to a couple of camps when Al was here, and I remember sitting in there being a coach, helping out. And I remember the first time I went, I was a little early in my coaching career, and I was listening to what was being taught, and I was like, I might not know football because this dude making $250,000 to do this at this college. Then I came back the next year, I was like, no. Yeah, no, not happening. There's no way. So I think for a younger group, you just got to understand that it is a team game, and as best as you can, you just got to try and fit into what is being done and try to make the best of it. Not go be a rebel, because once you become that rebel, you just really upset the whole thing. It's not going to get better. And I learned that as a coach. When I started coaching, I had coordinators I didn't agree with, but I understood that my job is to make him look good. So whatever it is he's trying to do, whether I agree with it or not, I got to do the best that I can to try and make that work. And in the process, it helped me be a better coach. Oh, there's a different way to do this. I might not agree with it, but
you have to be open-minded, though.
You definitely. Well, it starts with that, and that's developed probably outside of the game of football.
Yeah.
You just really got to look at the big picture. It's like, what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to win games. I don't have control over what's being called, what the scheme is. I just got to try and I got to make the best of what's going on right here.
So one more question, and then we're gonna move on. So you got a kid on the field. He has the talent. He wants to get to the league. What the coach is doing isn't working, and sometimes make him look bad.
Yeah.
What does he do outside of the team to get to where he's trying to go? Because you got to kind of take your life in your own.
That is a very tough situation. I feel like Marco lived that last year.
I'm feeling that. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, no,
sounds like y'all had to figure that out.
He definitely lived that, and it was definitely a struggle. And I think it just boils down to what I said. You got to do the best that you can to survive in that and try to make the best of it, because being a rebel, which he could have been, I could have been that dad. I could have been on Twitter going off about play calls,
right.
Or voicing my opinion on that level. Would that have helped him? No, it would have been terrible. It would have been a terrible look for him.
Right.
It would have caused turmoil within the team. It probably would have been a bad look for NFL teams that might have been considering him. So it's not to take that outside of the locker room and be that rebel. It's just try and work in it. If you've built a certain amount of trust up with your coaching staff, then maybe they will allow you to make a suggestion. Hey, I'm really better when I do this as opposed to that.
Right.
I learned. I went through that in my coaching career. I had a kid named Sky Moore that ended up playing at South Carolina. He's like one of the best linebackers that's ever played there. When I first became a defensive coordinator at University School, he was an end. He would rush off the edge. And one day, I'm watching him. I'm seeing him do his thing. He's a good player. He came up to me and said, "Coach, I think I'm really going to be better in the box." And just the way that he expressed that to me, I said, plus he had done everything I'd asked him at end.
Right.
He was doing everything he needed to do. And I said, let me give him a shot in there. The rest was history. He was an animal. Almost to the point like, man, why the hell did I have this kid at end? You know what I mean?
What you think he knew?
It's just how he saw the game.
Yeah.
He lined up in there, and being able to see it from this angle as opposed to this angle just made him feel better somehow. I guess he just felt better about knowing what play was coming, and being able to be there, as opposed to just being there on the end. Or maybe he just didn't like the play going that way, and I'm not involved. When I'm in here, though, I can get to everything. Right. And he got to everything.
Never put him back, huh?
Oh, no, there was no need. No need. He made all the plays. We had a series in a game where he intercepted a pass, ran with it. They punched the ball out of his hand. They recovered it. 2 plays later, he picked the pass off again. I was like, this kid is just on a rampage. And so he had one hell of a year for me, and went to South Carolina and did the same thing. So you just got to try and fit in there as best you can.
Gotcha.
Maybe your draft stock gets lowered. Maybe that's what God had planned for you.
Right.
Marco could have been a first rounder, second rounder, and gone to a team that didn't have a plan for him or a place he really didn't want to be. He went 4th round to Arizona, which he fell in love with in training. I mean, he couldn't be in a better place.
Right.
The best team in the league right now. He's with a great defensive coordinator, great coaches.
That's weird you even just said that. Arizona.
Man, can you believe that? And to be honest, man,
I'm lucky it's Marco.
Man,
I'm lucky it's that, dog.
You could have been the first pick to the Detroit Lions right now, so
right.
I do believe God has a plan for everybody. And so it's not to try and buck God's plan. It's not also to just lay back and let stuff happen.
Right.
Be active, and like I said, you can do some of those things. Maybe talk to the coach and say, hey, man, we might see if he'll take that suggestion, but you can just kind of try and work with the situation, and then you'll get freed at some point.
So you got All Eyes DB Camp and you got Gridiron Studs. Yes. All Eyes DB Camp. Who's the most famous guy you've trained?
I don't want to say the most famous, but for the locals, we got the Miami Dolphins here. Xavier Howard has been, the top cornerback for the last 4 or 5 years here in this league. 10 interceptions last year. Wisely, teams are avoiding him this year, as you would, off of 10 picks. So he's been perhaps locally here, one of the more famous guys. I've had Xavier Rhodes. Obviously, I trained my 2 sons. I've had Kenny Moore and a slew of other pros. But I also work with high school kids too, because that's where this started. Right. So happy to work with them. Happy to work with those college kids. Obviously, I get the guys that I coached in high school, Pat Sertan, Tyson Campbell, work with them in the off season. So it's good to have worked with them through all those levels, high school, college, and now they're professional football players. To be sitting in the stands and see that is just really surreal. So, it's a good feeling to play some part in what they've got.
Some people act like, why would Xavier Howard need somebody training him? What you say?
Because you know what, a lot of the game now is what guys do in the off season. Preparing in the off season. Maybe back in the day you didn't do as much, but it's gotten really competitive. There are a lot of guys now that do what I do. It's really a growing business. So, it's just a tightening up on the fundamentals, because on top of everything else, your time now has become limited.
Right.
Even with the pros in college, in college they put in that 20-hour-a-week rule. They put that in the year after I left, by the way. But you don't have as much time with your coaching staff.
Okay.
So a lot of that time is spent just understanding the scheme and knowing where you're supposed to be. But there's the element of, my skill. How do I get to that point? Backpedaling, where are my hands? What do I do with my eyes and all that? So in the off season, guys need that. They need those skills honed. They need them toned up, so to speak. So they spend time with trainer, and that's where I come in.
You had some linebackers out there too, didn't you?
Yeah, them dudes get tired of getting pulled off the field on third down, so or they get tired of getting used up and being on somebody's Twitter video. So they come out to me and just try to train as a defensive back, because a part of what they do is that. You get a slot guy jog out there in front of you, or a running back that can catch the football.
Right.
You get an Alvin Kamara coming out the backfield. The fact that you can fill an A gap is not going to help you when you get in space with that guy. So they come to learn techniques and drills and skills to cover those guys that they end up having to cover. So it's fun teaching them that stuff too.
And you also have Gridiron Studs, which is now with the transfer portal. And we've been talking about this forever, how we think college is going to start going to that thing more and more.
I'm sure.
Where does Gridiron Studs fit in with the transfer? Can you help kids?
I can, but as you and I talked about before we got on, it's once you get in that transfer portal, it's really more self-help. It's like the self-checkout at the grocery store. Whereas before you had to keep going in that aisle and wait for someone to. It's really more self-help, because once you get in the portal, then you can talk to schools. You can get recruited, so to speak. Once you're in there, before they had a transfer portal, it was kind of something that might be done behind the scenes, if I can say that. You're still at the school, but before you go tell the coach you want to transfer and then get the whole paperwork done and just be out there, you would need someone like me to kind of take your information and kind of feel it out with other schools. You still do that now. Smarter kids do that. I don't know if it's legal to be doing that, but hell, we talking about college football. What the hell is illegal anyway? But you kind of got to have an idea before you go in that transfer portal, whether you actually put the feelers out there or you kind of have an idea of how it is you've played, that you will be enticing to somebody, because there's thousands of kids in that transfer portal.
Yes.
Thousands.
It was 2,000 before the season started.
It's amazing.
I can only imagine how many.
There's a lot of kids jump in there and be stuck in there.
But okay, so Gridiron Studs, you have relationships with numerous colleges.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about kids now, though, man. 19, 20. Who are they calling? The people who used to recruit them? Like, who are they reaching out to?
Well, that's where you start.
Yeah.
You do start with schools
Your
that.
relationship.
You have to start there. You have to start. If you started a business and you wanted to sell some Mary Kay, you're going to call people that you know. You're going to start with your friends and family. So it's the same thing with recruiting. You had coaches that recruited you that maybe really wanted you. Some of the smarter coaches stay in contact with a guy in some way, shape, or form, even after they've signed with a school. Whether that's just to check in on them personally. Right. Not actually recruiting them. I don't want to make it sound like violations are going on. But if you recruit a kid for 2-3 years, you start to get involved in their life. Yeah, right. They had a girlfriend, or their mom could pass away. Right. You're not gonna say, well, coach at Baylor, he's at Texas. I don't want to say nothing. Hey, look, I got to know you and your mom. Your mom passed away. I sent a message. Hey, I heard blah blah blah. So if things go sour at the school that you're at, you start with those guys, and just kind of work from there.
Right. So
it's probably where most guys end up, is with some kind of previous relationship, unless it's a school that has a glaring need for your position, and they just gonna take you on.
Do you agree with the transfer portal? Do you think it's good for the kids, or?
I mean, it's good and bad. There've been a lot of changes in college football, and I didn't want to get caught as the get off my lawn old man. Just try and grow with it. I don't think all of them have been all that great, but time will tell. The transfer portal, I get it, because sometimes you get caught in a really bad situation as a kid. You committed to a school, and they just didn't have a plan for you, or it's not what you thought it was going to be. Right. Maybe you're homesick, whatever the case may be, and this just is not it. they've made it a little easier for you to move on. In the same vein, they've made it easy for you to move
bury
on.
yourself.
So, you know, I'm not starting, or, you know, you facing a little bit of resistance, or the coach yelled at you one day or whatever. Now, I'm in the portal, you know, and kids are kind of coming up that way anyway. You know what happens down here. I don't know about anywhere else. I'm here in South Florida. Kid will play for 6 parks in Little League. You know, I train DBs. I had a kid come to me in February, training the kid. March came along. I asked him how things was going at that school he was at. Oh, I done went to this school now. It's like, oh, wow, all right, cool. June, bro, you getting ready for the season with so-and-so? You know, Coach, I moved. I'm like, bruh, what you got going on? You've been to 3 schools in the off season, so we already have that mentality going in. So the moment we meet resistance, you could just easily jump in that transfer portal, and that's the part about it I don't like.
Right.
But the way coaches are able to change.
Yeah, and they're like that too.
Yeah, and when a new staff comes in, sometimes it's really hell on the guys that are there, you know. We run a different offense. We run a different defense. Or we just want to play our guys, you know what I mean? There's incentive for coaches to recruit a kid and put him on the field. Because if you recruit a 4 or 5-star kid and he's on the sideline, then now you don't know how to develop talent.
Right.
So usually when a new coach comes in and they recruit a class, they want to get those kids on the field as soon as possible. That's usually at the expense of the kids that's already been on the roster. So sometimes you get it.
I think earlier this year, Ohio State kid walks out in the middle of the game and basically tweets, peace, I'm out of here. This week, Gervin Hall was our starter like the first 4 or 5 games.
Were you surprised by him leaving? Or had you heard some
hastily,
rumblings?
How happy it happened, how fast it happened.
You knew it was a possibility though?
No.
I knew it was a possibility for him. I didn't think the other one,
Jennings.
I didn't think Jennings.
I didn't think. Okay, I'm saying that to say this. We're talking about kids, and some of these decisions seem emotional. They seem spontaneous. Kids can be a lot spontaneous. And we call these guys kids. They were 22 years old, 23. Yeah. I didn't think he started the first 4 or 5 games. And to be in the portal today is something new. It's where we're going.
It's hard to know what happened there. Right. It could be something behind the scenes that none of us are.
Yeah. Well, we talk about it a lot too. It's always that third thing.
Yeah.
The market is the stock market like there's always that thing that we don't know. We
always
act like we know everything.
Right.
We don't know everything.
Right. And our shares are getting dumped, and we seeing red all over our Robinhood. We don't know why. But yeah, it could be that. And usually in those cases when it's like that, kid been playing, something happened that we just may never know about. He had to go, you know. So.
Could be. I mean, yeah, could be. But I'm saying that to say that that's where we're headed. They got to put a buffer or a speed bump or something there, aren't they?
I'm sure in time they will tweak it. You know, hopefully they'll tweak it. They never did. They never did tweak the little targeting rule. So if it goes like targeting, man, we're in trouble. You know.
Things is that they leaving during the season. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. That they're checking out. So it's gonna have to be like, hey man, go see the pastor or somebody, right? Like, go talk to somebody before you do this.
I think before, listen, I've learned to never really rely on the NCAA to kind of fix things. I think it's gonna be up to the individual programs.
Right.
You may even have to have a whole new department, or just, you know, dedicate 1 or 2 people to dealing with kids that may be thinking about doing that.
Right.
Just try and get their head on straight and be like, are you sure this is something you want to do? You know, and you're not supposed to do that, because once a kid does come and talk to the compliance officer or the athletic director and say, I want to transfer, you're not supposed to be pushing back on that. You're supposed to just put them in there. But if you get wind of it, which again is what I say, you know, as a head coach, when you sit back and watch practice and you just kind of see everything going on, you might pick up on that. You might see something happening. You may notice a kid's body language. You may see that a kid's checked out in meetings, and you can spot the problem early.
Right.
Because once he comes and says, I want to transfer, that's it. So that's why you'll see places like Alabama, you know, obviously that's what everyone's comparing themselves to. They have such a big workforce. There's so many people doing so many different jobs there to make that thing work.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Alabama and they had a substance abuse guy there. His job, Streeter, was to walk around be around a football team as a former, I don't know if anyone's a former substance abuser, as someone who had experience in narcotics,
right,
to spot a potential problem.
That was his job.
Just sit there, watch, observe, don't say a damn thing. He had his nose too much, or whatever the case may be, and headed off.
Right.
Before a kid wig out at practice or go wrap a car around a tree or drag his girlfriend down the stairs, like his job is to do that. So there's so many aspects to the scholarship athlete that it takes a whole village, man. It really, and Nick Saban has that thing working. One of the best things I heard him say was at the end of the championship last year when they were interviewing him, is saying he is intent on maximizing the value for the player. When that player shows up, he's getting the best of everything. So that's weightlifting, that's education, that is player development, that's mental health, that's every possible aspect to a person. He's got, it seems, something or someone devoted to developing that. So
right.
you leave out of there with all your carburetors right, your engine's right, like it's like if you went to the Jiffy Lube and you let them people do all the stuff that they say they need to do to your car. That's what it's like. You've been to Jiffy Lube and they'll go crazy on your car. Hey, you need to change it. You'd be out of $2,000 on an oil change. But it just feels like that's what happens to a player that goes to Alabama. So they get through college fine. I don't know if that's great for their post-college life.
Right.
But they're going to get through college fine.
Because he's taking care of it.
Yeah, and if you get booted out of Alabama, you really just didn't want to.
And I heard a lot of those coaches that are help me guys, what do they call them? Like all these help coaches they have.
I don't even know.
Some of them not even getting paid. I heard some of them just there to say, hey, you can put it on your resume.
Sure.
I was at Alabama, and that's probably looks good.
Man, ain't nothing. Look, there ain't no better work than that free work that you can get when you running an operation. Like, hey, we Alabama. I'm Nick Saban.
Leverage.
Yeah, just come on and say that you work for me. There ain't gonna be no check, no direct deposit on Friday, but you can say you were here.
Right. Okay. What if I told you that last 15 years, University of Miami has been #1 in the Coastal in recruiting, right? Last 5 years, they've put more kids in the NFL than any team in the ACC, even Clemson. I think it was 28, Clemson had 27.
Are these are facts?
Yeah.
#1 in recruiting?
What? #1 for 15 years, they've been in recruiting in the Coastal.
Wow.
They've put more players, and we have more of these numbers. They put more players in the NFL the last 5 years than any team in the ACC. If I just hand you that, because I could just keep handing you numbers.
Man, you got me wanting to go on my phone right now and double check
What do you say
all
that?
this that is being said right now. I'm surprised. I am surprised by that, especially with Clemson being in the conference with us. When you say 15 years, I'm thinking, man, a lot of that got to be 10 years ago, 15 to 10 years ago. But you might be right.
Now, I said just the Coastal now, just the Coastal. In the ACC.
Oh, he said coastal.
Just the Coastal.
So we're not including the Clemson side.
Because I had to define the numbers more for the fans. Listen, I had to define the numbers more for the fans.
Okay.
If you go the whole ACC, we're top 2, top 3. For 15 years, we're talking Chad. And we won the ACC never. And we got to the championship once, and I still don't think we showed up for that game yet. Still ain't got there yet. What do you say to that?
We've got to get better at developing talent. I've been on that for a while now.
Yeah.
Because as I started to see the landscape of college football change to where facilities and things of that nature become the real focal point. Let's just make this clear to anyone who has not been around, you knew, or maybe you've been around and you just didn't know. We've never been #1 in facilities. Nope. We've never been top 10 in facilities. Nope. We always used to be mad about how Florida State players ate versus how we ate.
Right.
It's never been our thing. However, we do have the internet now. We do have social media now. And so now it's out there for everyone, especially local talent, kids in state. The borders are open now because of that. And now that's allowed kids to
Yeah.
move out. They feel like they've got more options in Florida, Florida State, and Miami. Your South Florida kids, you have more options than Miami.
Yeah, you can see it.
They load those vans up, and you take them kids on an SEC tour, and they go in there and they talk to, and they see the palace. It's easier for kids to leave now. So seeing that change in the landscape, realize we're going to lose top talent. Mm-hmm. That's clear. That's happening. What we have to really get serious about is when we do get a kid from down here, because we know a 3-star, 4-star here would be 5-star somewhere else.
Right.
Turn that kid into a damn good football player. Turn that kid into an NFL football player. If we can do that consistently, then we'll start retaining more of that talent. Because does a kid really want to go all the way out of state?
Right.
Even though the travel for the parents will be provided for, do you really want to be taking those flights?
Right.
Do you really want to always have to stop in Atlanta to end up somewhere else? Do you really want to drive 13, 14, 15 hours? Maybe not, man. Maybe. Right. And maybe you'd like grandma to come. Grandma ain't doing that 14-hour ride.
Right.
It'd be nice to stay home and, your whole family could be there.
Right.
It'd be nice to have a ticket problem. So if we can do that, and people can see, yeah, that kid was all right in high school, but now, boy, is a second-round pick.
Right.
Maybe I just stay home, So I felt like we really need to hone into that. And I know it seemed like recruiting was the thing that needed to be front and center, because that's just what college football looked like it was going.
Right.
So you got to win the recruiting war, and you still do as much as possible, but we've got to start making it where we're number one in developing talent.
Development. We're going to touch on developing a little more, because I think that's the part that fans are just, crazy. But I think that's the part they don't understand, they don't see, and it's just like they just play the young guys.
Oh my
Well, the old guy was here 3 years with the coach trying to get the coaching the young guy.
Right. It's that old guy was that young guy. You know what
right.
I mean? I just went through this with Florida fans on there, because they all they should have sat them guys a long time ago. And I was like, wait, screw them older kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
There are recruits out there that watch that and say, I could be that older kid. And then on top of that, if you keep flipping coaches out every 3 years, man, am I going to go to this school and then have a coaching change in 2 or 3 years, and then now the new coach don't want to play me because he thinks I'm the problem, or because the fans always want to recruit the newest guy to come in? It's a bad look. It really is a bad look. Unless a kid is totally bucking the system when you come in as a new coach, or he just clearly can't get the job done, you got to give that kid the opportunity, because he's played and he's proven it in games that he can play. You throwing a young kid in there, let's just see. Let's just see if he can get it done. Or what if he can't? Like Florida threw Anthony Richardson in there before he was ready. That kid is going to be he's going to be a tremendous talent.
I saw some film on him.
Going
like
to
Superman with a football in his hand.
You see it's going to happen.
Right.
But you can ruin a kid by putting them in there too
early.
soon. And so, the fan base, the Florida fan base, feels like they know more football than Dan Mullen. I don't know what school they went to, what YouTube class, what TED Talk they watched that make them think they know more than that man. But on top of him knowing more and having more experience, he's actually at practice. So by the way he was distributing the playing time, he was telling the fans he's not quite ready.
Right.
We all see that he's going to be a guy. He's not quite ready, but I felt like he got pressured to put the kid as a starter in the Georgia game, and you saw how that turned out.
So he just started him. The other kid didn't get hurt. So he just decided to start.
Yeah, we're gonna start Anthony Richardson in the
Georgia?
game against Georgia.
Wow.
I mean, yes, not the greatest thing to do, but you're going into a game that you probably felt outgunned anyway. Maybe I throw the kid in there and he breaks a couple tackles and makes a super play. I'm going to need some kind of plays like that against Georgia's defense, which is ridiculous. Maybe just said, is this what you guys want? Put him in there. I mean, all eyes DB camp. If you're trying to get your footwork skills, your hand skills, your DB skills to the top, come see me. All eyes DB camp. Consistency breeds results.
No, I mean, though, back to those numbers with the Hurricanes, you're talking about developing. See, because I think they see the stars, the kids come in, and they remember he was a 4-star, he was a 5-star. I asked you about Marco and Quincy and the developing for this reason.
Okay.
Because what is developing in a kid? Like, what's happening? Is it experience in the coaching staff to get the kid? Like, what is it to get a kid to that next level? Because it seems as if every time we get a transfer portal kid, most of the time, 80% of the time, Rambo, our best wide receiver. Bubba Bolden comes in, best safety. Phillips, best defense end. Am I missing anybody? Like, it seems like wherever, Tyreek Stevens, best cornerback.
Developing a kid involves several things. First of all, there's a maturity that has to happen, and that comes from managing your personal life. You know, that will seep onto the field, whether people think that's the case or not. You got to be able to manage your personal life.
The kid, you're talking about the kid. Okay.
Be in control of your personal life, because it does bleed over to how you perform on the field.
Right.
It's also in the weight room, fixing some deficiencies you may have. You know, some strength deficiencies, speed deficiencies, things of that nature. Or being able to take hits or play an entire season and not get injured as much.
Right.
Then there's the football IQ, which most kids just not gonna have the football IQ up to speed. So there's getting that, and then there's, you know, getting a kid experience. And if we're talking about developing, is, you know, if I have a freshman that is worthy of being on the field, finding situations where I can get him into a game, so he can get valuable experience, so that when he comes back the next year, it's not completely new. So that he can be a little more comfortable when the season starts. And if he's a starter, then fine. If he's not, get him more reps and in his sophomore year than he did his freshman year. So if the junior year is when he's the starter, he feels comfortable in there, and it's not all completely brand new. He doesn't look like a freshman as a junior. Right. That, combined with all the other things that I said, is developing a player. You know? And some of that is just getting a kid to buy in to all those things. Be in that weight room. Handle your business off the field. So, you know, go to your tutoring sessions. This is the standard for our school. This is how you treat women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because you know what happens? You start getting into trouble with women, and it's going to show up on the football field.
Right.
You'll be taken off of the football field off of something that you have, you know, something that happened. So, you know, you don't want to be getting suspended, missing practices, missing games. Now you got the media on your head about off the field stuff. It'll affect you on the field. So it's just developing players, and then having a system and scheme in place that fits the talent, so the players can thrive. Remember the stuff I said about Randy Shannon?
Right.
Just finding what it is that your players do well and having them do that, and then fitting your players in the right spot. If a kid's supposed to be an end, put him at end.
Right.
The kid's supposed to be a linebacker, have him at linebacker. The kid's supposed to be a cornerback, have him at corner. There are a lot of places where that doesn't happen, and you ruin the development of a kid. He's not doing what he's best at. You got him rushing the passer, he should be in coverage.
Right.
That's development.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's partly is what's happening, and I think it has something to do with we keep hiring like these young coaches, and then we don't give them a budget. The budget seems to be something to die for, and then he has to go get whatever he has to get with the budget that he has.
In terms of coaches, you mean?
Yeah.
I think you really just got to pound the pavement and look through. There's a lot of good coaches out there that are coaching at schools we don't see every Saturday. You know, there are a lot of FCS coaches out there that are really damn good coaches.
You just gotta find them.
You just got to find them. And as you're coming up the ranks as a coordinator or assistant coach, I think you got to build those relationships in anticipation that someday someone might want to give you a head coaching job. So go to those big coaching conventions and talk to people and shake hands and share ideas and earn the respect of people, so that when you do get that head coaching job, you can pick up the phone and the guy will want to coach for you, or at least consider it. And just get those kind of coaches. And it might not be a splash hire, you know. You don't always got to go for that splash hire. I know our fans want that. Sometimes you got to block that noise out. You really, in all honesty, when it comes to them Twitter fans, man, you really got to ignore them. Let them be mad. They'll come to the game when you win. They're not showing up when you lose. So it's really going to be about your on-field results. You know that down here.
Yeah.
It ain't Nebraska. You're not going to be 4-6 and the house is packed. Ain't happening here. So you either winning and everyone's there saying we Hurricanes.
We've been there.
Yeah, we done ran to the Target and threw a little hurricane. They would have bought a little Hurricane polo. I've been a Hurricane fan all my life. No, we don't have that here. So do what you know works. You let your experience talk, and don't listen to the Twitter noise. Let them fans sound off.
I've been to Clemson, Georgia, and we talk about these facilities and how they have just took the baton and ran away from some schools.
Sure.
In your mind, if you told Nick Saban, if you told Dabo, if you told these guys, listen, we'll either give you your facilities or we pick up Clemson and place it in South Florida, what you think they'll choose?
I don't know if I understand that question.
Okay, so if you told Georgia, Alabama, right? What would you take? The money to have a waterfall in your locker room, or be based in South Florida?
Oh no, they'll take the waterfall. They will leave things the way they are. Why would it's not broken?
Okay.
It's not broken at Alabama. We are located in Tuscaloosa, and we kick everyone's rear end. I'm in Georgia, and I'm having a really, really great time right now. And I can go into Miami and get whoever I want. So why would I change that? Why would I come down here? I might end up finding out all the problems that Miami got being in Miami. So if I can be in Georgia, where the cost of living is lower, and some of the other challenges are, non-existent. There's no South Beach for them to go to or trouble to get into, and it can be all about football. And the local cop will pick up my drunk player and just bring him over to me and have me pick him up, and not have the Miami Herald or whoever show up and be like, "Oh, we got an exclusive," or TMZ be like, "Oh yeah, Miami Hurricanes wide receiver caught drunk." Dun 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 dun. You know what happens in them small towns.
Yeah.
Go ahead and report the wrong thing in Tuscaloosa. You be face down in the creek.
So in 2021, I guess they have figured it out. They have figured out how to break through the fence that was once down here with Florida State. And You're right. All right, they have figured it out, and it is working for them.
Yeah, man. Them cops don't live in the neighborhood they police. I live in Coral Gables, but I'm a Miami Gardens police officer, so that's kind of what it is. Them people can come down here and pluck what they want. Come over here and look at our palace up here in Georgia.
Right.
I think they'll leave things just exactly the way that they are.
I guess so.
Why it ain't broke, right? Georgia and Alabama gonna play in that championship this year,
it's
are they not?
Broke. They have figured it out.
Of
They
course.
have figured it out.
Of course.
I mean, something wrong with Florida football. We got Canes down, Gators down. Florida State. I saw Florida State 3-6 the other day, and I keep repeating this because I'm like, man, I never seen that before.
They're 4-5. We need to check that. Somebody check.
3-6, ain't they?
They're 4-5.
They 3-6.
3-6.
Gators 4-5. Gators 4-5.
Oh, Florida State, you said.
Florida
3-6.
State,
Oh, I thought you said Florida 3-6.
Is it just happened like that, or you think so?
What's wrong with the state of Florida Big Three?
Yeah.
Other than what we just talked about, Georgia and Alabama plucking the best out of here. I think, and I've been on this for a while, and this is probably going to upset some people. I think the coaching is falling off in the state, and it's a function of you don't get paid anything to coach here. You know what I mean? And as much as you like to say you're not doing it for the pay, you still got bills to pay. You got a life to live.
Right.
And what a lot of coaches find out, you might start off that way, like, man, I'm just doing this for the kids. But once you get in there and you get your behind beat by the rival school. Well, now suddenly, I'm spending a little more time with this. I'm watching a little more film. It's 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'm watching film. Or I'm up late making a game plan. It starts to become competitive. It starts eating up a bunch of your time, and then you're looking at the end. Oh, I got an $1,800 check for the year.
Right.
But the school expects me to be there in the off season for the 7-on-7 and the weightlifting and, and the banquets and everything else, plus coach the season. Check is still $1,800, $2,000.
That ain't growing, right?
It's not. Your wife looking at you like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
FP&L man don't care. He outside saying, "Hey, you got that check for me, or we about to make it dark in here?" So, guys are leaving. Our good coaches are going to Georgia. Maybe some going to Texas. Other places where they pay coaches.
Right.
So what's left behind are guys that maybe are not as invested or just don't know as much. The best of the best is leaving here. And so that combined with the best players leaving, the top schools taking the best players, what's left behind is not good enough to compete on that level. Maybe in the beginning when they would take the top talent, we still had kids that could, that understood football, that could play football, and we'd be fine. We can operate. But now you're taking the best, and there's not a whole lot that's left behind there. You know what I mean? There's a serious void, and then you got these big three fighting for it. Then you had UCF jump up, so they might be pulling away at some of it too. You know what I mean?
Florida started showing their head at one moment, but I don't know. They think they went back.
Yeah, that thing
they peeked their head out.
I think they fell back into the Gulf. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if they were doing well though?
Right.
That would just mean that's less kids for Florida State, and Miami. So it's a smaller talent pool And we just are not developing players. And now if you watch college football, kids got to be ready early. You got to be ready to play as a freshman.
Right.
So you're not getting developed. If you don't understand football, if you're not in the weight room, which I've heard that complaint about kids from South Florida.
They don't want to lift weights?
They don't want to lift weights. You know what I mean? They just think they super athletic and that'll work. But at 160, when a guy run through your face, now you miss it for 3-4 weeks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you get out on the practice field and you can't handle a kid with.
It's also talent level too, right? Because I heard Tutu Atwell did not want to, but he still was able to overcome.
Yes, and
everybody's not that.
Man, I posted a TikTok about a guys thinking that they gonna go Power 5, weighing 160 and benching 220, and I had people standing on my head using Tutu Atwell.
One name,
bro. There's one Tutu Atwell.
They give you one name, 0.0000%.
Like, you didn't went to the 735th page on Google, and all you came up with was Tutu Atwell. He's a one of a kind. Don't use that. Like, remember when we were kids, Muggsy Bogues played basketball at 5'3". That don't mean all them 5'3" kids should be out there trying to hoop up. You know what I mean? Go be a jockey or whatever.
They don't realize how amazing Muggsy Bogues had to be. They don't realize how amazing Tutu Atwell had to be in order to be running around 160.
Yeah, so you got to be in the weight room. You got to learn. You got to spend some extra time learning the game of football.
Right.
It'd be nice if the coaches could do it, man. But coaches, it's very difficult for them to devote that kind of time to it. You know what I mean? And now you're getting a guy that was a math teacher that says, I played a little football, or whatever the case may be. And that's who's coaching our kids. So they're not ready. And one of the biggest things that kills South Florida kids is the playbook when they get to college. They try to work down there like that, and it's 20 coverages you've never heard of in your life.
So it is a problem.
It is 100% a problem.
Because I've heard people say that there was an excuse from the coaches not being able to get the kids on the field. So it is a problem.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
I know that 100%. 100%.
Just too much to...
Yeah, I've had kids that I've trained, and they come back to me that first year in college like, Coach, man, all these coverages. Yeah, bro, I know. At your school, the moment y'all ran into trouble, your coach put 5 dudes on the line of scrimmage, and y'all played man. Coach in college not doing that.
Right.
He running a whole bunch of coverages and buzz and trap and this, that, and your head spinning.
No, I've had people, Siren Wim said they ran like 3 plays at Ely with Tyrone Moss. And he said he took him 2 or 3 years.
Them jokers work too. You know what I'm saying?
He said it took him 2 or 3 years to pick up at Miami on the playbook. Clement, what was the running back name from Booker T?
Eduardo.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with him, and he was kind of like pissed at Booker T for winning. They were winning, but not teaching. Like he felt like he wasn't prepared.
No.
Yeah, because of the way the offense was ran, probably was so simple, and it worked.
4 track stars.
Track star quarterback.
You got to put 2 safeties back there to deal with it. So here you go, Eduardo. Yeah, run right up into this hole right there. If they bring 1 safety down, we're gonna pull it out and throw the ball. I get it.
Yeah.
But man, you get to college and the team brings a blitz and you can't pick it up. You're not in the game.
Yeah.
The coach can't put you in there, and the defense knows. Well, when he in the game, he's running because he don't know how to pick up a pass.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get smashed in the face when you run. So you better be a complete player. You better know who to pick up on the blitz. You better know which hole to run to. You better know all that. And guys get buried. They get frustrated too.
Yeah, yeah.
And they get frustrated quickly. So on top of not knowing, you're frustrated because I know physically I'm better than this guy. I'm 4'3", I'm, whatever. I'm this amazing athlete. But he playing over me. Now my ego is under attack.
Yeah.
Like, man, that dude. And you know how them cats be talking back at home. Like, man, that old boy playing over you. You must be garbage. What happened to you? You were so good in high school. And so.
That's what Bang said. Bang said he go back home and said, man, I'm the most famous nigga you know.
Yeah. Bro. That first season better have gone well, or you might as well stay up there for summer. A, B, C, D. Don't even come to the crib.
All right, man. Before we get out of here, bro, listen. You got 2 kids. Mm-hmm. Fortunate to have 2 kids in the league.
I actually have 3 kids, but 2 that are boys that play football.
Yeah, you have 2 that's in the NFL. Yes. Right. What would you tell parents that are chasing that dream?
That is a full-time commitment. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just about football. You have to teach them how to manage their personal life, because that's what undoes a lot of kids. I can't tell you how many talented kids I've coached, I've trained, or played against that didn't make it because their personal life was out of control.
Right.
So it's a total element. And I know parents get all caught up in what the kid's actually doing on the football field. But if you want to see them to that finish line, and it's not always, the finish line is not always professional football. There's so many things got to come together for that to happen. I realized for everything that my wife and I did and my family did, there's still a certain amount of being blessed to be in that situation, because things happen. Injuries, Marco had those 2 injuries, or you get in a bad situation, or a coach, anything can happen. But really, the personal life, there's a lot that goes into it. It is a serious investment. There's a lot of things my wife had to do. We were at Pines Boulevard when they were kids. We might as well have been running a shuttle up there, back and forth. Baseball practice, taekwondo, football, basketball. So there's a lot that's involved there. If you're just going to get into the brass tacks of the football part of it, part of the advice that I give out to parents on that is let your kids play other sports.
Right.
When those recruiters come, they're looking for those kind of players. You got them dads that want to do football year round. Football season's over, they want their kids with a trainer. They want the kids at 8 years old doing 7-on-7, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I don't train kids under 13 years old.
No.
No. Go play another sport. First of all, you got to learn how to be a teammate. Some of these kids will grow up and just be with a trainer. It's just you and the trainer all the time, and then when you go to football,
like
I'm an
golf.
individual.
Like it's golf or something.
No, man. Go play baseball with different kind of kids that play baseball. Go play with some Spanish and some white kids. Go learn that part, because that's what's going to be on your football team. You got to learn how to be a teammate. Plus, you develop all these other skills. My first sport was soccer. I had great footwork off of soccer.
Right.
Basketball teaches you how to be an athlete. Track obviously brings you speed. Baseball will teach you patience. You bring all those things at the end. And so, you've got to allow your kid to grow in that sense.
Yeah.
Play multiple sports, learn how to be a teammate, and all that good stuff. Make it fun for them when they're young. That playing 25 youth football games when they're 8, it looks like it's fun for them, but they'll eventually get burned out.
Yeah.
They could have a smile on their face at 9, 10 years old. They get to 12, 13, 14. Man, I'm getting a little tired of this.
Right.
I'm getting tired of the training. This football is, you know what I mean? I pulled Marco out of AYFL football.
Yeah, and you took him to what? Junior high football.
I took him to university school. He played 9
Marco
games.
playing against House of the Blind.
Bro, he played against, what is it? I'll name a school. Miami Christian, whatever the hell.
When you get the ball this time, close your eyes. Let's see if you can make it to
Brother, pitch play, touchdown, whatever. And he's playing against trash. He not going. Just fine.
Still develop.
Just fine. Have fun, because you don't know nothing till this grow in and the females come around. Now you know what you got. Shoot, we all seen kids that killed it at 8, 9 years old, right?
Yeah.
And they
Still
were
the
this
same
high at
size.
9 years old. They this tall at 15, and it just didn't happen. And everything
all
was
the
football,
time.
so the kid don't know nothing else. He's mad, he's frustrated. So just take it as it comes. We never set out with this saying, our kid's going to be professional football players. They did a whole bunch of things, and whatever it looked like the talent was in, but then we would eventually funnel it into that. You go full go.
Right.
It's like all them Bitcoins, all them cryptos you in. I'm gonna spread 1,000 on all of these, and one of these jokers gonna take off, and that's what I'm gonna run with. So
when you sit, I saw you in New York. When you sitting in the stands, is it gratifying? Was it worth it, bro? Running down Pines over and over again.
Oh, for sure. Whether they were sitting in the stands or not, just having a functioning adult that can manage their life, because it's so hard nowadays. If they were just able to live a life where they were content, they were happy, they could pay their own bills, they could maintain relationships.
You did your job.
Yeah, and they can go to work on time and not get fired. I would have been happy with that. All this other stuff is gravy. We wanted them to get their degrees, and if you happen to play any professional football, well, then that was just gravy, cherry on top.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, man. But listen, man, y'all make sure y'all like, share, tell the people where they find you at, bro. You social media Man, do awesome work on TikTok, man. Y'all think TikTok's for young people dancing? This man be killing TikTok.
Man, I just went on TikTok playing around. I made a video. It took off. I said, well, I got to keep making these. So I'm real simple. At Gridiron Studs, whether that's Twitter or it's Instagram or it's TikTok, that's how you find me. Go find me there. You could be the next person to come cuss me out on Twitter. I'm used to it at this point.
It'd be funny when he'd be like, so what does a college defensive end look like?
Yeah.
And he started going down to 6'7", 300.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, you think you can play defensive end in college? All right, listen, this is what a defensive end looks
Man, it hurts some feelings, but.
all right, man. Y'all like, share, comment, man. Chat with us, man. We out of here, bro. Appreciate you, big dog. That was awesome, man.
As always.
We're going to keep having you up here, dog.
Don't take 3, motherfucker!